In this video, I'm gonna make abgoosht. This is also known as dizi and is one of the national dishes of Iran. It is traditionally cooked in a stone pot and served with garnishes, usually in the form of fresh herbs or greens. My version has taken bits and pieces from varied blog posts and videos, with the goal to streamline the cooking process so that I can reliably make this using off-the-shelf North American ingredients and then portion the dish into Tupperwares for freezing. Here is what I will be using for this one. A spice mix particular to the dish itself. The ingredients are 1 teaspoon ground caraway seeds, half a teaspoon each of ground black pepper, turmeric, and LIMOO AMANI. Great. It is rabbit hole time. Persian dried limes, aka LIMOO AMANI. These can be found in Persian grocery stores, and they will have a much lighter color than my own. Chances are high that there is no Persian grocery store near you, and even the local Middle Eastern shop looked at me like I had two heads when I asked for those. Fortunately, these can be homemade reasonably well. For this, I will be grabbing some fresh limes. There is only one type of lime in my neck of the woods, so I will take whatever they got. Country boys make do. I might as well make these in bulk considering how long this takes. Dried limes keep ridiculously long anyway. My first step is to blanch the limes, so I have water heating up on the side, and now I just need to ready the ice bath. Blanching the limes will work just like pasta. I have salted water at a rolling boil, and I will put the limes in there for no more than 1 minute. I am aware that some people also include vinegar in this process, but I have chosen not to. Once the minute has elapsed, I dunk the limes into the ice bath and wait for them to cool completely. The limes have cooled down, and I can now take them out and pat them dry. I will poke a hole into the side of them with either a toothpick or a knife, so that stuff inside can escape if it wants to, and I will get the oven going at 170 Fahrenheit. The limes will stay in there for at least 2 days. You can choose to sun-dry them if you want, but I will not chance it over here since the weather is capricious and the local squirrels will nibble on absolutely everything. Into the oven they go, and I will turn and flip the limes around every so often. 2.5 days later, my limes have become firm, lightweight, and they ring hollow when I poke them. I will pulverize one of them with a mortar and pestle to obtain the half teaspoon I need to complete my spice mix. End of parenthesis. Once more for luck. A spice mix consisting of 1 teaspoon ground caraway seeds, half a teaspoon each of ground black pepper, turmeric, and dried lime, and a 1/4 teaspoon each of ground cumin, cinnamon, and coriander seeds. I will have more spice mix than I need, but I will save the remainder for another time. 1 more dried lime standalone. The thing about dried limes is that they contribute a taste that is markedly different from fresh limes, and they add a certain tartness to the dish. For my own taste, 1 lime is enough. You might want 2, you might want 0, it is up to you. I am shooting for a flavor that is discovered, not announced. 1 cup of white beans, I used kidney beans since that was what I had lying around, and 1 cup of chickpeas. Both of them I have soaked overnight. My measurement is based on how they are before soaking. 2 lamb shanks, roughly a pound each. Failing that, some other cheap cut of whatever. Beef could function as an alternative. You want something with bones, as they will contribute to the taste of the broth. A handful of basic potatoes. No need to get fancy. A handful of tomatoes. These Italian ones were on special, so I went for these. Worst comes to worst, I am sure that a can of diced tomatoes will do just fine. A couple bunches of cilantro. That is an unusual ingredient, and I have not seen it very often on the blog posts I have browsed, but I like cilantro, and the leaves make the dish more colorful, so I will put them in. Rinse thoroughly, and then rinse some more. An onion, whatever happens to be on hand. By the way, the proportions of all these ingredients are fairly permissive in my opinion, and there is a good deal of wiggle room to adapt them to your own preferences. Lastly, flatbread. The traditional bread for this one is called sangak, but I could not find any, so I went for generic Afghan-style bread. I am looking for something that can absorb liquid and also hold on to the food reliably well. This is a gigantic 10-liter enameled cast iron pot. It will be my cooking vessel today. I need a lot of capacity because I will be handling a lot of ingredients. First on the list is to get the lamb started. I will add in 3 liters of water, aka 12 cups, in order to completely submerge the meat. Stovetop on, and I will let that get to a simmer. In the meantime, I will put some hot water into a bowl and let the dried lime sit in there for 10 minutes or so. The idea is to make the lime soft enough that I can poke some holes into it with a fork, and this way it will infuse its flavor into the broth. Mine was pretty firm still, but that is nothing a kitchen knife cannot solve. As the water heats up, a good deal of scum will rise to the top, so I will skim most of it off. I will also preheat the oven to 350. While waiting for the water to get hot, I cut the onion and tomatoes into rough pieces and chopped the cilantro. I will put 2 or 3 generous tablespoons of the spice mix, along with everything else except the potatoes and the bread naturally. Might as well use a big spoon to transfer the solids in order to avoid hot water splashing all over the place. Also, try to dunk the dried lime and see if you can make it stay down before you run out of patience. This will go into the oven for an hour and a half. 1.5 hours later, I will taste to see how things are going along and adjust seasoning as desired. Needs a good deal of salt. After all, no salt has been involved up until this point. I have peeled and quartered my potatoes already. I will add them in and cook for 1 more hour. 1 hour later, I am ready for the final stages. The dried lime has done its job. I will squeeze the broth out of it and discard it. Now, I want the lamb to very easily pull from the bone. It appears to be the case now, otherwise I would have put the dish back into the oven for another while. I will set the bones aside and see if there is anything else I can retrieve from them before I move on. With that step done, I will use a slotted spoon or a spider to take out the solid food and set it aside. I do not need to take out absolutely everything. In fact, I know that a few beans and chickpeas will remain in the broth, and I am fine with that. It will make the soup more fun to eat. Because, indeed, the broth will be the appetizer. Into the Tupperwares they go, with, of course, a bowl for today. Now for the solids. These I am going to mash. I do not need to have the most even paste in the world, at least I do not think so. I like seeing a few whole beans and chickpeas here and there. I think it is fun. Despite me making 6 portions, I still end up with easily 1 pound of solid food per portion. Perhaps next time I will lower the quantity of ingredients overall. Stuff like 3 potatoes instead of 4, 4 tomatoes instead of 6, and just shy of a cup of beans and chickpeas instead of the mountainous cup I put in there. With that, I am ready to eat. The bread I can break up a few pieces to put in the soup, and the rest I can eat along with the dish. I am absolutely going to be spherical by the time I finish this.